Donald Trump is shaking up his legal team just hours ahead of surrendering to authorities in Fulton County, Georgia. I'm watching all the cable news networks here at WDLS, and he's on his way to the airport now. I guess he goes to trying to think of the big city in New Jersey, right across the Hudson. He probably flies in and out of. Come on, John, Newark. Yes. So he's on his way to Fulton County. This must be Steven Portnoy from ABC News joining us from D.C. Steven, how are you?
Hey, it's good to be with you.
So you have direct knowledge of what's going on here. Who's out, who's in, and why this late in the game is he yet shaking up his legal team again?
Yeah, it looks like he's just found someone who he feels is perhaps more adept, adroit, better suited, better known in Atlanta. This attorney, Steven Sadow, is the new one, replacing a man named Drew Findling. Look, this is not the first time. It probably isn't the last time that Donald Trump will make a change in his legal team. He feels it's to his advantage. And there's a lot to get to because as the former president heads to Fulton County, there are some fast-paced developments happening this afternoon in the setting up the timing of a trial in Georgia. And it's really rather complicated for not just us to follow, but for the district attorney, Fani Willis, to manage because she spent several months working on her investigation, and now she's ready to present it to a jury. She hopes to try all 19 co-defendants in the same courtroom before the same jury. But under Georgia law, any one of these 19 co-defendants has the right to ask for a speedy trial. And one of the co-defendants, a man named Kenneth Cheeseborough, who is a Trump campaign attorney, who's one of the 19 co-defendants in this racketeering case, he has asserted his right to a speedy trial in Georgia, which means that the judge, just in the last few minutes, has set the trial for Kenneth Cheeseborough to begin on October 23rd of this year, 2 months from now. What does that mean? Well, the rest of the co-defendants are going to object, and they're going to say, listen, Mr. Cheeseborough might assert his right to a speedy trial, but we're not ready to present our defense. We need time. I mean, look, Donald Trump just hired a new attorney today. He's not going to be ready in 2 months, and it's not unreasonable to ask for more than that. In fact, Fani Willis initially proposed a trial date of next March 4th. So her plan to present this case one time to one jury in one courtroom appears to be in jeopardy this afternoon.
I would think so. Do state prosecutors have to coordinate with the feds, or is everybody autonomous here?
Well, so the federal courts, and there are two separate cases going on in federal courts, are in different jurisdictions. So you have the one here in Washington, D.C., having to do with January 6th. You've got the federal case in South Florida having to do with the classified documents. And ultimately, I think the judges are going to have to tiptoe around one another, working with the parties to see what might work best in terms of when to have things start. It's getting increasingly difficult to keep track of all this, but the bottom line is, over the course of the next year or more than a year, the former president will have a number of court dates. He doesn't necessarily have to appear in court for every single hearing or every single
motion,
every event, and yet there are certain times where he will have to appear, and so he's going to have to work that out with his attorneys. The judges are going to have to respect one another. I don't know that one takes precedent over another. I can tell you that when it comes to the case in Georgia, Mark Meadows wants to have the racketeering case against him pulled out of the county court and put into the federal court because he argues that he was acting as a federal official at the time. You can imagine that Donald Trump would make the same argument.
Right.
So too would Jeffrey Clark make the same argument. What does that mean? It means that Fani Willis, if these defendants prevail, will have to present these arguments in a federal courtroom. It's not that the Justice Department would take the case, which would normally happen. It's rare that this happens, but sometimes a state case can be removed to federal court in the criminal system. And under circumstances such as this, where you have a federal officer who's accused of a crime by a state prosecutor. And the bottom line is it would still be the Georgia law would be tried in a federal court with a different jury. But again, this is just a complication. It stretches the resources of the district attorney who's bringing this case. And for some of these co-defendants to assert their right to a speedy trial, it means that Fani Willis may have to repeatedly present this case to multiple juries. Not what she had in mind, not what she had planned.
Oof. It seems immensely complicated. I'm no fan of Donald Trump, but it seems patently unfair to some of these defendants. Steven Portnoy, historically, has anybody faced this many high-profile cases simultaneously?
I'm not aware of any similar circumstance, but we've never seen a former president, something as simple as taking a mugshot. That's about to happen today.
After today, does the drama factory slow down for a while?
Well, I think there'll always be something that we'll be able to sink our teeth into and seize on when it comes to various events to cover, various motions that are being filed. For example, on Monday of next week in Georgia, there's a hearing in federal court on Mark Meadows' attempt to have the case removed. Here in D.C. in federal court, on the same day, there's a hearing on the timing of the January 6th trial in the federal system. I don't want to confuse or confound anybody any more than it's confusing or confounding me. It's my job to keep track of this stuff. But trust me, there's a lot. There's a whole lot, and anything can happen at any time.
How full is the calendar on your office wall?
It's pretty full.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking the political calendar. We're only at this moment talking about the legal calendar.
Yeah, you're talking about the legal calendar and then trying to integrate that with a political calendar to be fair to the candidate. I mean, it seems like it is immensely complicated, and as I said, it seems to be overwhelming and perhaps very unfair. Out of all the mugshots you've seen, is it safe to say that Jenna Ellis had the right policy with a nice smile?
Well, she smiled. The others have not yet smiled. Big question, what will Donald Trump's mugshot look like tonight? We might see it tonight. We may have to wait till tomorrow. Will he smile? Will he not? We'll see.
Steven Portnoy, thank you for the analysis. Much appreciated, sir.
You bet.
Take care.